Peace be upon you, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to our second recording in the prophetic timeline. So in this period, I'm going to discuss the birth of the prophet until he received his first revelation. Now, in this period, we're not really talking about Islam. So what I'm hoping to do is to tell you a little bit about the societal context in which he grew up, and also his lineage, the family that he grew up in, and see how that contributed to his character and what kind of a man he was by the time a revelation started. So if we look here, this is Google Earth. So if we look at the orange dot, the city of Mecca, where Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born. So we look here, we can find the Holy Mosque, and then in the center of the Holy Mosque, that cube is the Kaaba, which is the Holy Shrine. Now, if you remember from previous recording, I mentioned that the Arabian Peninsula had a lot of shrines all over, and people used to do pilgrimage to these different gods and do trading. Now, the Mecca, or the shrine in Mecca, had a higher status than the others. Partly, there are a number of reasons, but I can mention here two reasons. One is, if you can see the location of Mecca, it is located on the trade routes. The caravans used to go from north to south and pass through Mecca, and also going to east, they would go through Mecca as well. And so that gave it a lot of importance. Another factor is that year 570, which is the year Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born, it was called the year of the elephant. And there's a certain incident that happened in that year that elevated also the status of the shrine in Mecca. An army from Abyssinia came, and they wanted to invade Mecca and destroy the holy shrine. And they had elephants with them. But when the elephant reached the Kaaba, instead of breaking it down, the elephant went down on its knees, and God sent a flock of birds with stones that pelleted the army. And you can find this in chapter 105 in the Holy Quran. And so that story, of course, was spread throughout the Arabian Peninsula, and that is the shrine, basically, that God defended. And so it elevated its status in comparison to the other shrines. And so more pilgrims went to Mecca. And because of that and other reasons, there was more wealth now in Mecca. However, that wealth was concentrated in the hands of the few. And as some scholars say, it created, the more wealth, it created more of a capitalist market. And so people there are, living in cities now, and they have wealth and so on, and power. And so it's the ethos, the Bedouin ethos, started to change. So the protecting the weak, defending the weak, taking care of the orphans, distributing the resources between all the members of the tribes started to change. So those who had wealth, they were in control. They wanted more wealth, more power, and so they were starting to exploit the orphans, the women, the weak, and so on. So the society started to change. And that is the society that Muhammad, peace be upon him, grew up in. So now I'm going to talk a bit now about his family. So Muhammad was born into the tribe of Quraysh. Now Quraysh was a very well-known tribe. They were not into raiding other tribes. They were more into forming diplomatic relationships, because they were more interested in creating a safe haven for the caravans to come for pilgrimage and on the trading routes. So they formed agreements with the nearby Bedouins so that they don't actually, raid the caravans coming to their city. They were also well known for their mastery of the Arabic language. I don't want to go through all the tree here except to just talk about the great grandfather and the grandfather of Muhammad, peace be upon him. They were all, they were both heads of the clan. Hashim was well known for establishing the trade routes. Abdul Muttalib was known for digging up the well of Zamzam, which is up to now is the well that actually that all the pilgrims drink from when they go to Mecca. So because he dug up that well, he has now the privilege of and the prestige of servicing the pilgrims and providing water for them. And that was also carried by his descendants. They took on that responsibility. So Muhammad came from a very well-known lineage who had status, even religious status. Now, the youngest of his sons, of Abdul Muttalib's sons, was Abdullah. Abdullah, when he reached the age for marriage, Abdul Muttalib took him to the city north of Mecca, and there he actually married Amina. And Amina traveled back with him to Mecca. However, Abdullah passed away 2 months after they were married. And upon the delivery, Muhammad was born in 570. And so Amina and Abdul Muttalib, what they did at that time, they also sent Muhammad to the desert. That was the custom of the Arabs at that time. So the people from the desert, shepherds and so on, they come and they take children from well-known families. They foster care for them. They breastfeed them and so on. And of course, they receive gifts and so on from the families. So this is another livelihood for the shepherds. In doing so, they actually provide for a healthy environment for the children to grow up in, because cities usually have more diseases, and also they master the Arabic language. So Muhammad, basically going back and forth, grew up in the desert for 4 years. Then he was given back to Amina, and he stayed with her 2 more years. However, she passed away. So he was orphan again. Then he was taken by his grandfather, who was really old, but he took care of him and he loved him. But after 2 years, he passed away too. So after being orphaned 3 times, he was raised by his uncle, who became the head of the tribe, and he had lots of sons. And so as Muhammad grew up, he became a shepherd to help his uncle raise the family. Now Muhammad, when he reached 25, he started to do some trading, and that's the time when he met his wife Khadija. She was a very respectable lady, and she wanted somebody to trade, take the money and trade. And so she hired him, and he did that and brought a lot of profit. And she was very, she really admired his honesty and his intelligence, and so she proposed to him for marriage, and he accepted. She was 15 years his senior, and they had 6 children. The 2 boys died when they were infants, and then 4 girls. And Fatima, the youngest, married his cousin Ali, and these are important figures in the Shia Islam. And all his children actually passed away before him, except Fatima. She passed away 6 months after he died. Now he also foster cared for another boy called Zayd bin Haritha, and he also took Ali when he was with his children to help Abdul Muttalib manage, because there was famine at that time. And so you can see what kind of a character all that he went through changed him, made him a kind, very caring, very courageous, brave person. He was well known in his tribe as the Al-Amin, which means the trustworthy. People trusted him. He doesn't lie. They used to leave their important, valuable stuff with him when they traveled. You can see from what I have discussed what kind of a character he had before revelation started. And so he, because of that character, he was troubled by what his society, his community, how they're living, how they're far away from the good moral values. And so he started to go on trips for days to contemplate in one of the caves nearby to Mecca. And in one of these nights, the first revelation came. And this will be our topic for the next recording. Thank you very much for attending, and I hope to see you will join us in the next recording. Take care and God bless.